that one belief eliminated from your brain could change the course of your reality. Would you want that? It's not for everyone, only the brave. Those who want to own their life like the powerful leaders they were born to be. A pivotal moment can change everything. Now, here's the host of Crossroads to Awakening show, Wendy Paquette.
Hello, and welcome everyone to the Crossroads to Awakening show. I'm your host, Wendy Paquette, and I am a holographic mind reprogrammer. I help women stuck at a crossroads and men awaken to their true selves and change the world from where they stand. And what that means is just moving those limitation blocks out of your reality from the programs that you've been running so far, even if you think you can't see them or can't find them or don't know what the problems are. Those can easily be moved because I believe as a high-frequency human, you can see your life as a direct reflection of all the programs that are etched into your brain. And all those programs can be easily undone, easily shifted, and easily deleted and transformed into something else, whatever else you're after. So when you see the truth, your truth, for what it is, you then have choice. And what a beautiful thing. So if you want to access your true self, find me on Facebook, look it up at Crossroads to Awakening Show. Send me a direct message and let's get your party started because there's no time like the now, that's for sure. Anyway, today I want to express my absolute gratitude for everyone that's listening, whether you're listening live or whether you're listening, afterwards on the podcast or eventually the TV show. I want to express my gratitude for your being present and choosing yourself in this moment to hear the message because today's episode is about becoming a master visualizer. Becoming a master visualizer. If you knew that becoming a master visualizer would actualize your life exactly the way you saw it, would you choose it, right? Or would you stay in the space of not really understanding why things aren't showing up for you? That's the most beautiful key to your life that you could ever be given, is knowing that you are the creator of it, every single bit of it. So that you're experiencing life as we've been divinely granted the possibility to be here now and be in all of this, whatever it is, and look at it for what it is, what lessons we're gaining, and how we get to move through it with joy and grace and ease. So becoming a master visualizer is something that we all get to lean into. And I mean, listen, you don't even have to be a master at it to start seeing your possibilities. You may be even seeing your alignment showing up already because you're getting glimpses into all of this awesomeness that you've wanted, something that you've hung on to or clung to or, put it out there even for a nanosecond, like, hey, I would really love that. And then suddenly it shows up and you're like, oh, dang, how did that occur? So we got to dive deep, deep, deep into what that actually looks like. So today on this show, I'm going to walk you through what it takes to create your life from that space and become a master visualizer so that you can have the alignment you're after. You can utilize these magical electrons in this world, where scientifically based possibilities, to create exactly the life you'd like to live and how you'd like to experience it. It all comes down to this simple little question that you may have been asked before. It is, what do you want? I know, it's crazy, right? What do you want? What is it that you would want in your life to experience as your now? What would you like your reality to feel and be like and look like? What do you want? So throughout this show, my invitation to you is, if you're listening to it live, amazing. Go back after, listen to it again, and really dive deep into these principles of aligning yourself with your reality to actualize it from the space of visualization. Because where your mind goes, where your focus goes, and I'm sure you've heard this before, energy flows. And if you are willing to solidify in this reality something you would like to experience, wouldn't it be something fun and amazing and joyful and blissful and abundant in every way? Like, I'm just going to pretend that I can see you nodding your head. Yes, Wendy, please, can you please show me how to do that? So here we go. This is how we're going to get started. What do you want is a loaded question. It's loaded because there are 300 million categories that come into your space when you ask that question, right? Because we're such energetic beings, and we're getting hit with like billions of pieces of information from every which way under the sun, including the sun, in every given moment. And so how we receive and decipher and use that reticular activating system in our mind to see what we're after, it's all here, right? It's already here. And the part of asking yourself, what do you want, with all those possibilities and what categories to lean into, it creates a sense of confusion, right? I don't know what I want. That's your first response. Well, I'm just going to say it out loud. I don't accept that answer. I don't know what I want. It is, yes, a very easy way to get out of creating your life. Because when you say, I don't know what I want, it gives you permission to move away from it. Move directly away from what you want into something that you don't want, and then you keep wondering why you're not seeing the things you really do want. And it's not because they're not there. It's because you're given yourself the time and space to receive it, like to be in that moment of not just receive it like when you're looking at from a physical perspective, but receive the knowing, like what do I really want and how do I want to receive it? So we're going to break it down. When I ask you, what do you want? When all those million things come into place, we're going to categorize them into 3 small categories. Just for now, right? Just for simplicity of being able to lean into one particular thing, we're going to divide them up into 3 categories: health, wealth, and relationships or love. Health, wealth, and relationships or / love, right? Those are the 3 categories I'd like you to play with right now, because there's always one that you might be actually good at already. So maybe you're a really good manifester with your money. Maybe you're already like rolling with it, right? You're figuring it out. You got a great career. You knew what you wanted. You went through to school for it, and now you're being it, and it's super fun, and you're just great in that area. And that's the money, the wealth aspect. Mind you, wealth goes across the board, but we'll speak about that later. So that's thing you're good at. Maybe, you're okay with your health. You're not really looking at it too much. It doesn't seem to be in the way. You're not completely focused on all the things that are wrong in that category. So wealth is it, but maybe it's in the love category or the relationship category where you're craving, and especially since we're in the beautiful space of COVID right now, and I say that with all the love in the world because someday we'll be out of that space into something else. The relationship aspect is so critical. So we're gonna just pretend that you're choosing relationship today, right? We'll move into other spaces, other days, and please reach out to me for support in any of those categories because I'd be happy to stand with you and figure it out. And right now we're going to lean into relationship. And I don't know why, but I'm going to just read the energy of those who are listening. Relationships are everywhere, right? They're not only in the romantic aspect, but they're also in the friendship aspect, and they lean into the business aspect as well, right? Because you're working with other people, and those are relationships. You also have relationships with your neighbors, right? The people that are in your living sphere. You see once in a while outside, when they're in their front yard washing the car or whatever they're doing. So relationships are everywhere. But sometimes there's those relationships that you relate to your heart, right? Where your heart is, to me, is one of the most important spaces, and that's where I like to begin. Because when your heart feels full and enjoy, you can do and be nearly anything you want because you're happy, right? You're in joy. And from that space, everything seems possible. So let's lean into the relationship aspect and go deep with what that looks like. So our first question was, what do you want, right? And to serve and calm the overwhelm, we looked at 3 categories. Now we're looking at the health, wealth, and love / relationship. And we're going to lean into relationship just for conversation's sake on this show. And in relationship, now we're looking at the aspects of a relationship that there are, right? So it breaks down again. We're looking at maybe a love relationship, right? Maybe someday you want to get married, or maybe you've been married and you are no longer and you like to get married again. Or just have a relationship in general with, someone that you want to be close to your heart in that way. And that's just one aspect of all the relationships in love, right? So let's lean into that one. And I not sure, but it maybe one of our guests before was Journey Jill, and she does the Connection Lounge, which is such a fabulous place. But it literally creates those type of connections. So let's lean into the love and the relationship. Maybe you want someone in your life that you can share your life with. Not someone that's going to take over, right, or run your life, or, you know, put you in a space of where you're going to have to learn all those, like, icky relationship parts of what doesn't work. But you want someone that you can just truly love, who loves you for who you are. So what do you want there? There's that magical question again. What do you want right there in that space? Perhaps you would like someone who lives close, maybe they live in your city, that you can spend time with, maybe you can go out for dinner with, and in this day and age we're moving into the space where we can go back out for dinner again, and maybe bike rides, or spending time, maybe they're a similar interest, like they like hiking, or they like biking, or maybe it's something more subdued, like, you know, snuggling up on the couch and watching movies with a big, huge bowl of hot, buttery popcorn. Whatever that is, I want you to lean into it. So I know we're leaning into the relationship aspect in the love/relationship category, but it's just an example. Lean into those spaces. Who would you like to create relationship with, right? Or any one of the other categories. And what does it look like for you? Like, really go there. Go into the space of what a relationship would look like in whatever space you're looking at it, and let it design itself in your mind. I believe it was Einstein who had the expression, like, intelligence is creativity having fun. Intelligence or imagination is intelligence having fun, right? So lean into your imagination just for a moment, right? If you're listening to this live, great, go there if you have time. If you don't, you get to come back and really lean in. Because what if you're playing with your imagination and it shows you something that you really can lean into that you didn't even know was there? Your imagination is your connection to the divine. It's your connection to all that is, to source, to you, to your higher self, right? Which we're all after these days. Lean into that piece of it, right? Allow your imagination to have fun, right? Play in there. What does it look like? Well, it looks like me feeling super joyful, just having that person around. Maybe they're like over at my house and maybe we're sitting outside and we're both reading a book, and, you know, we have some like fresh brewed iced tea and we're just kind of hanging out. We're listening to the birds singing and we're just spending time in the same space together. That feels joyful and blissful for those of us that are like super nerd readers, which is a space that I enjoy being in. What if that's what it feels like and you just haven't had the gateway or the doorway to allow that to come in? But that's getting pretty specific, right? We're leaning into the specificity of what that could feel like or look like. You can imagine your backyard or your deck or even your front yard, right? Maybe you have a beautiful patio, or you have a reading room at your house, whatever that looks like. Maybe you walk to a park. I don't know. I'm letting my imagination flow. I'm just making it up as I go. That's what imagination is all about. My invitation to you is play in with your imagination, right? Lean into that space that you probably haven't leaned into for a really long time. And we're about to like hop into a break, and my invitation on the break is, give yourself a moment. Give yourself permission. Sit down, whatever's in the way. If you're listening in the car, be careful with your imagination. You get to focus on the road. But if you're not, if you're sitting at home, turn off all the distractions. Turn off, any music in the background or television in the background, or if music supports you to open up your mind instead of singing the words along, right? Do whatever it takes. Walk around in your yard. But play in the imagination space. So what would it feel like to have someone to play with, a playmate that would come and do joyful things with me, that I could just be me and they could just be them. And we could have this relationship together where, you know what, we like each other and everything's copacetic and we love, aspects of each other and we have things in common. And one of the things that I would love to do is just sit in the backyard and read under the tree for an hour or whatever that looks like. Having a nice cup of fresh brewed iced tea with lots of lemon, right? That's what it looks like. So as we walk into our first break, my invitation to you is to play in that imaginative space. Allow the intelligence, the higher intelligence, your higher self, the energies that be, to open that up and deliver to you what it feels like, maybe what it looks like, maybe what it sounds like. Utilize all of your senses. So let's walk into our first break, and when we come back, we're going to go deeper into the what do you want with that. So we will be right back.
If you could wave a magic wand and have your life be anything you wanted it to be, what would it look like? Professional dancer, CEO of a multi-million-dollar earth-conscious company, a screenwriter with top billing shows, and ultimately have the boldness to move about the world without emotional blocks standing in your way, therefore having the confidence to achieve anything you put your mind to. That's what Wendy Paquette knows is possible for you. The first step is understanding why you don't believe it too, or why you do, and yet haven't created it. Put on your possibility goggles and join Wendy now, because you're at the crossroads to awakening.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email becomeahost@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is Crossroads to Awakening radio show with your host, Wendy Paquette. To participate in the program, call in the U.S. 815-880-8255, Canada 613-800-8736, or Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. Now back to the program.
Welcome back, everybody. So, did you have fun with your imagination playing in a space of possibility? I hope you did. I really do. And if not, you get to practice that at some point. It's not easy for everyone. Let's just be honest. The space to allow yourself to create was something that you attribute to something you did in your childhood, something that you did as a kid because you had nothing else to do except for play with your imagination and be creative and have fun. But I'm here to tell you, it goes all the way through your life. It doesn't end at your childhood, right? And if you recall, most of us, we pull some crazy stuff through our childhood into our adulthood at this point, and it's not always the best things. And so one of the things my invitation to you would be is pull through that imagination space, because, man, can I bring up some super fun things I used to think about all the time. It used to be musicals, or my mom would pull out the record player, put on an old record, and she would play, I don't know whether it was like Disney cartoons or something, like Cinderella would be on there. And I would just imagine myself inside of those movies and places all the time. And it was just me having fun. I actually would go, I would crawl. I remember being so tiny that I crawled underneath one of the the office desk benches and put my mom's Afghan over top of it, and I would crawl underneath of it, and I would put on the record, and I would just close my eyes under there and imagine where I was and that I was there, and I was just experiencing all those fun things. So I had a really fun imagination. It was guided by something else, but believe me, I pulled it all the way through, right? It took me a while, but I figured it out, and now I let my imagination play whenever there's something in my life that I would like that I have been ignoring, right? So what have you discovered about playing with your imagination that you didn't even consider before? Playing in that space is so powerful that I know we mentioned, I just briefly kind of whipped over the reticular activating system, and what that is, it's a scientifically proven concept that whatever it is that you're focusing on and that you decide and you keep focusing on, your reality that you're living, it shows you clues, right? It leaves you breadcrumbs of what you've decided. And so when you're focusing on something like being in your imagination, you're seeing all these possibilities. So if we're using the example of finding a relationship in some form, it's not just about finding a relationship or being in a relationship. It's like, okay, well, that's what it feels like. How do I get there? Like, how does that actually come into my life? And so by going deep with yourself on asking yourself, like, what do I really want out of having a relationship? Like, what is the feeling that I'm hunting for? It can go really deep. Like, you can literally ask yourself, okay, so I asked myself, what do I want? And I asked myself, okay, in a relationship, what do I want in a relationship? And then you're like, well, why do I want that? Right? That's the next level of going deeper with what you want is, why do I want someone in my life to spend time with and read a book or go for a walk or exercise with or whatever that looks like? Why do I want that? And oftentimes I'll find, and this is sometimes with clients or other friends, whoever we're walking through this conversation with, is they want it because they feel like they're missing something, right? They're missing something in their world. What are they missing? And so we go deep into, well, I'm missing just having conversations about fun things that come up. Or, I kind of miss having a glass of wine with somebody and just sharing, a good meal and a couple laughs. Or they feel like they're missing something. And I'm like, okay, you feel like you might be missing something, but why do you feel like you're missing something? Well, you know what? Because I'm so busy in my life that I have no time. I have no time for anyone or anything. And, I just work so hard. And then at the end of the day, I feel, like, where'd the day go? And who am I going to spend the rest of my day with? And then my question next would be, what's underneath that? Right? Why are you feeling like the day is over and now there's nothing left after a full day? And a lot of times we get down to the space where their big thing is not necessarily feeling lonely, but it's being alone. The reality of looking at their life and going, I'm all by myself, right? I have my work and I have my clients or I have my friends. But really, when I think about spending my life with someone, there isn't anyone there and I'm alone. And that's something that I don't want. And that's when we get down to the really juicy stuff of becoming a master visualizer, because you may never acknowledge where you're at and you may never acknowledge what you want, which means that you may never get there, right? Your life will just happen like haphazardly, kind of put together, pieced together. You'll walk through it in a very reactive state. But you're not creating it from the space of like sheer heart desire. So that's what we get down to. What do you really want? And when we follow that thread that I just kind of walked through, what one really wants is to not be alone, right? Because being alone could really evoke a fear of always being alone and never having anyone, right? But the fear is not going to create or manifest any of that awesomeness for you. It's going to create more fear. And based on the reticular activating system, it's going to keep showing you clues that that is true. Right? Oh, yeah, that's true. I'm alone because here I'm at the end of my day, had a really full work day, lots of things happening. End of the day, all by myself. Don't even know what I want for dinner or if I'm going to have dinner or why it really matters because there's no one here to make it for, so I may as well just have a cup of coffee, right? Just do whatever, I don't know, who's going to notice? So we're getting right down to the juicy stuff of how being a master visualizer can change your life. It can really change your life. It's not just being able to visualize something. It's being able to go through the whole I would liken it to like a systematic function of really getting clear and intimate with yourself and having the relationship with you the person who's after something. And seeing that in order to have what you want, you get to get down to the nitty-gritty of why and what it will create for you and what it will solve, right, in your reality. So with the example I used, I just basically followed the energy through the world and was like, you know what, this is what people are after. Here's where they're going. What's really underneath all of that is the fear of being alone. And what created their desire to have someone in it is they kept filling their life with work, with appointments, with things to do, right? So that they weren't alone, but what they really wanted was a relationship with someone. And that actually takes being inspired by creating deep connections with someone or multiple people to see where things go. Like, it's really not the first person you run into, although it could be when you get really good at it, right? Really good at visualizing and mastering that piece. But until then, there are action steps that you get to take in order to get over the hump of filling your life with something in order to be busy and have people in it, to what do I really want and how do I get to create my life from that space based on visualization. Because I'll tell you something, it will line up for you. I don't know how, and nor do you, and that's the most beautiful part. The easiest place to get to from when you've discovered what you really want is the place of surrender. And that's the next level. Surrender means I know what I want, I know why I want it, and now I'm going to keep playing in that sphere of what it feels like. And I'm going to let myself imagine every new moment there is possible in that space so that I can keep pulling forward and expanding in the quantum multiverse, the experience that I'm looking to create. And it could look like shortening your workday so that there's time and space to have this relationship that you're looking for, right? Shortening your workday. Maybe you're going to dip your toes into the health side for a minute, go, you know what? Perhaps going for a walk to the local Starbucks and picking up a coffee and having a sit with a book on my own might actually be supportive as well. And really allowing your imagination to pull in these beautiful ideas that begin to craft and deliver to you exactly what it is that you're looking for. And that's based on visualization. So where we're at now is we've discovered the fear of not wanting to be alone, right? And because we don't want to be alone, we automatically by nature start filling our space with time and people and things to do and business and work and appointments and all kinds of stuff so that we're not alone, number one. And two, we're busy. And three, we have some connections in our world, right? Kind of show us that we're still alive. We're still here, right? Even if there were connections. They're not deep connections, and you wouldn't call them relationship, but they're connections to people. So you're seeing or talking to people, and you know that you're here. But that creates zero open doorways, right? Just creates more busyness in your life so that you can actually not have what you want, right? It's a natural reaction to not wanting to be alone. Fill it up, fill the space, not alone. There you go, until the end of the day. Right, what are you going to do? Fill your day up 24/7? Some people probably do. But from this space, then we move into, okay, it's actually a fear of being alone, and that's why my life is so full. Because am I really getting a lot of stuff done? Am I really creating deep connections? I don't think so, if I'm really honest with myself. So the next move would be, okay, let's play in the space. Let's let our imagination really deliver to us possibilities. So we're going to sit, and you can call it meditation. You can call it silence, still point, a moment, right? Just taking a bit of time to be present with yourself in a moment with that desire, with the opportunity to visualize whatever it could look like in your mind that you would like that relationship experience to look like. So on purpose, taking time out of your day on purpose to sit in the space of visualizing. Let's look at this. I would really love someone to sit in the backyard with and read a book and just have a cup of beautiful fresh brewed iced tea and read the book. We don't even have to talk, right? We just want to spend quality time together. And even if it's just a look up at each other in acknowledgement, right? and then not. Maybe after we talk about the book, maybe we don't, but it doesn't matter to me. What matters is that I feel comfortable and happy and joyful, and I'm sharing space with someone that I can create a relationship with, and that's a feeling. It's a small thing, but if that's what you love, play in the energies of what it feels like just to be in that space, right? Imagine what you're wearing. Imagine what the sounds, if you're sitting out back in the backyard, what the birds are doing. What is the sound of the wind through the trees, through the leaves? How hot is the sun? How beautiful does the breeze feel on your cheeks? What are you wearing on your feet? Are you barefoot, sitting with your feet in the grass? Like, get deep into the visualization of what it feels like to be in the same space as someone else, sharing it with you, doing something that you love together. So, as we're going to go into our next break, you get to yet again play in the space of imagination and really dive deep, right? Really dive deep with yourself and get in there. We've been talking about it for a little bit. You can keep going. Keep playing in the same space. And we're only picking one thing today, just one thing to see what's truly possible. And let me tell you, in this space of this show, of the Crossroads to Awakening show, we're on the Inspired Choices Network. Inspired Choices. So you're here on purpose to hear this message in this now, right now. So you can pull into yourself the possibilities I'm speaking of and play with these energies to get what you'd like. So we're going to move into another break. When we come back, we're going to dive even deeper into what's possible. My name is Wendy Paquette. You're playing with me here in the space of possibilities on the Crossroads to Awakening show, and there's so much more. We will be right back.
If you could wave a magic wand and have your life be anything you wanted it to be, what would it look like? Professional dancer, CEO of a multi-million-dollar earth-conscious company, a screenwriter with top billing shows, and ultimately have the boldness to move about the world without emotional blocks standing in your way, therefore having the confidence to achieve anything you put your mind to. That's what Wendy Paquette knows is possible for you. The first step is understanding why you don't believe it too, or why you do, and yet haven't created it. Put on your possibility goggles and join Wendy now, because you're at the Crossroads to Awakening. This is Crossroads to Awakening radio show with your host, Wendy Paquette. To participate in the program, call in the U.S. 815-880-8255, Canada 613-800-8736, or Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. Now back to the program.
Welcome back, everybody. So, I was sitting here just diving into it myself and looking at, what would I like to create with you? Like, how could I stand in the space where you have all the possibilities in the world in front of you because you've allowed your imagination to play? And how can I open up the door so that you can stand in it and then tell me what it is that you see for yourself? How much fun it would be to play and what you would like to create. And I realize I do that already inside of my community. It's the Crossroads Academy. And actually, it's the Divine Crossroads Academy. It's a space where visualization is number one in order to actualize what you love in this world, because it truly is a big piece of having so much fun here on the planet while we're here. We get to love other people, spend time with other people, be in relationships, and create all these super fun things. And that's exactly why I'm here on the planet. We get to create a space, a planet with, in my perspective, like peace. And it starts inside of us. That space of visualizing where we pull the reticular activating system into alignment with our desires. For me, it's inner peace so that we can experience outer peace. And my absolute deep desire would be, wars ending, countries getting along, realizing we're standing on the same earth as everyone else. It's the same planet. It's one planet. It's not to me, it's not a difficult concept, but it is real that the separateness does exist. And so in this space, my invitation to you is play with your imagination to discover what works so that you can create a space of peace and possibility and joy for yourself. And then you keep going, right? When you realize that, wow, I really can create the world I'd like to live in. What do you think that could do with the rest of the humans on the planet? Where do you think they could go with what's truly possible and knowing what you know about yourself? So the first step is knowing it for you, right? And relationships are everything. I suppose that's where the energies led me to go there with that conversation today, because without relationships, without other humans, like we're all humans on the planet, relationships are, we have beautiful animals that we call family and all kinds of other things happening on the planet that some people aren't even willing to acknowledge, right? Other worldly experiences. And we're all one here on this same one planet that we're standing on this earth. So let's begin with you. It seems like such a silly thing, right? To think that we got to start somewhere small, and it is, and it creates from that space. And so mastering this as a master visualizer will give you not only permission to create the type of world that you would like to be in, and yes, I say world because I mean that, but it is joyful and it is on purpose. Right? And you are in charge, and there's no victimhood in your reality when you are creating it. You get to create from a space of sheer heart desire, sheer connection to the divine, which is here inside of you now, right? Right inside of you now. And we have some really cool things on this planet that will support us. Like, it's like science and religion coming together. I am committed to creating that space in my world. And for me, the aspect of science is, I kind of rebutted this before about how every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. And I didn't believe it. I just wanted to see it as a visual in my head so that I can imagine it, right? So it's like whatever you put out there comes back. I think people attach that to a karmic thing. And I didn't like that. So I just dismissed the whole scientific aspect of it altogether. But now I see it as different, right? So we're gonna like eliminate the karmic conversation out of this right now. We're gonna look at the science. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. That's a science. So I all of a sudden saw when you say you're playing, I want to say like ping pong or something, but you're playing up against, so you tip the table up in half and you're playing against yourself, and you hit the ball towards the net, which is now actually got the other half of the wall standing up, and what does it do? It hits the other wall and comes back, or it hits the net and comes back, depending on if you get it over, but it actually comes back. I'm like, okay, so what else works like that, right? Near everything. Because whatever you toss up against something, it will come back in some way, just like the waves of an ocean. We don't know exactly where that point is, where it hits the other side and comes back. All we know is the waves keep coming. It's not just a one-way thing. You can watch a wave crash into the sand and then watch it retract. It has the same type of motion, in and out. And how much effort that comes from the energy of the water depicts how big the wave is. So imagine yourself as the water. Imagine yourself putting out maybe onto the beach. Whatever it is that you're thinking about, that becomes a wave. It goes out and it comes back in. Now, it can be soft and calm and gentle and easy, or it can be loud and crashy. All sounds beautiful, right? Even a storm. There's some peace to a storm sometimes. Imagine if there was no intention attached to the wave, and it was more of like a chaotic everywhere and a chaotic coming back. There is order in chaos, right? It makes a mess, and then it dissolves into something else, and it leaves something different. What if that's what happens in your life when you're reorganizing it to fit your heart's desire, right? So we'll go right back into the relationship thing. So you're creating a relationship, you want to spend time with somebody, but you realize it stems from your fear of being alone. So in order to create someone in your life, you fill up your life with all these things and all these people and all this stuff happening, and you realize at the end of the day, when all the stuff is done, you're still alone, right? So you're self-actualizing, self-realizing fear, because the fear is what you place your attention to. The filled up space in your day was a result of your attention to not wanting to be alone. And so you're like, okay, fill her up, guys. She doesn't want to be alone. Fill it up. And at the end of the day, you're still alone. So now there's nothing wrong with that. I love peaceful time on my own. I love it. It is the space where I dream and imagine and create from. But there's another space of being alone where you feel like you're lonely, like you're the only one and there's no one else around you. And then underneath that is a sneaky little thing thinking no one cares, that your human existence doesn't matter, right? When have you ever went there? And I'm here to tell you something. Every single being matters. Every single one. Even if you think you don't, you do. The ripple of you being in someone's life and affecting them in a moment, it might even just be on a conversation, it could even be with someone that you don't even know. Maybe some telemarketer called and you just happen to be really kind to them that day. That changed their day. You've affected them. And if you're not in communication with someone else and you stay tight and stay closed and stay uncommunicative, guess what? The people in your world are also affected because you're not there. So the conversations they could have had that could have changed their day when you didn't answer the phone caused them to still be feeling sad and horrible about their job and their life because no one on their side cares. Why? Because you didn't answer the phone when the telemarketer called, right? So your presence, whether you know so or believe so or say so or not, matters. You matter in every way. And so pulling forward now, what's truly possible in the space of mattering is that you can come back to the moment of your imagination and insert that it does matter, that you do matter, and that the world has a different experience when you participate and also when you don't. So as the wave that goes onto the beach, you have an intention with the wave in what you are willing to create. And when you step into the deliberate space of intention to create something in your world, your reticular activating system in your mind will look for evidence of its truth. So you've got a choice. You can decide that you're lonely and alone and will never have any impact on the world at all. And yet you will anyway, because that's how the world works. Or you can be there and shift into the space of, you know what, I do get to create on purpose. And I'm just going to play for 2 seconds to figure out whether this actually works or not. Just give yourself the moment of, you know what, even if you pretend you're going to test it because you want to prove that it doesn't work, you had to go all in. And you're going to lean into the space of being in intentional, deliberate, inspired action to imagine what it would be like to be in relationship with someone else. And you're going to put yourself in that same sweet space. Maybe it's outside in the yard reading a book. I keep leaning into that same example so you can connect from where I was before to where we are now. And have an impact on someone just by being in their world. And the ripple that goes out into the universe, that gets created from that space, that the ripple or the wave that goes out into the world, it suggests that you haven't created space if you've filled up your day with busy people, things, appointments, because you were afraid to be alone. There is no space now, and that gets to change. This is where the element of a little bit of chaos comes into place, because the reticular activating system is going to show you that you don't have time, and that you used to create the proof, the evidence that being lonely or alone was true. And now that you're playing in the space of creating a relationship, you're starting to see where you don't have a lot of time for anything, and something gets to change. Something gets to change. So, as we are already so quickly moving into another break, we're going to step into the space when we come back. What does that change look like? And geez, how could it actually happen to me, right? I've created all my life the space where I believed I was alone and lonely and never going to meet anybody ever that I loved or that loved me. And now I'm in the space where I could create that on purpose because I'm seeing all along what I've been creating, and that's what I created without realizing it, and making that shift into what's possible now. So, as we move into our final break, my invitation to you is this. Get ready for the fuel and octane to ignite what's truly possible and see what will be created once you actually stand in it to create it as a master visualizer. So, Inspired Choices Network, the Crossroads to Awakening show, let's get this party started. We'll see you on the other side of this break. We're just getting to the juicy stuff, you guys. You are almost there. I'll see you in a minute.
If you could wave a magic wand and have your life be anything you wanted it to be, what would it look like? Professional dancer, CEO of a multi-million-dollar earth-conscious company, a screenwriter with top billing shows, and ultimately have the boldness to move about the world without emotional blocks standing in your way, therefore having the confidence to achieve anything you put your mind to. That's what Wendy Paquette knows is possible for you. The first step is understanding why you don't believe it too, or why you do, and yet haven't created it. Put on your possibility goggles and join Wendy now, because you're at the Crossroads to Awakening. This is Crossroads to Awakening radio show with your host, Wendy Paquette. To participate in the program, call in the U.S. 815-880-8255, Canada 613-800-8736, or Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. Now back to the program.
Okay, everybody, are you ready? Because you've now, if you've been following along, already put yourself in the position of being in the space of creating something. You know, if you're in this space that a relationship was what you wanted to create and you followed along with me and you even imagined for a second all those possibilities occurring, if what my experience of what it would be fun, like whatever I picked up in the field and delivered as sitting out back, reading a beautiful book, with my bare feet in the grass, the sun beaming in my face and feeling that radiance of it, and sipping on a beautiful cup of fresh brewed iced tea, then guess what? You're in for a fun ride, because what you've been doing on purpose was activating the electrons in the multiverse in order to attract more of those electrons, in order to create what's truly possible. And the one cool thing, and I say cool because it's such a fun alignment when you see it happening in real life, in real time, is it will create the chaos of seeing what you've created up until now, which is a life that's busy, 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 no time for anyone, and then a fear underneath that of being alone, and a fear underneath that of not mattering, what you've created and what it looks like. And you're going to have that moment of like, oh no, like what was I thinking and how did I create that? And now you get to step into what's the fun part, the truly possible part, is what are the inspired actions that come to my mind right now that I could step into and choose and be in alignment with, that are going to create these magical moments to come to me. Because we're not truly in charge of the how of any of this. The universe lines that up for us. The multiverse lines that up for us. We are the multiverse in that space. We are part of a quantum space in the multiverse that is the space between the spaces, and all that is, we are that as well, meaning we have our own backs. We're going to show us what we truly want. We're going to bring it to ourselves. The how is not our job, right? The universe will line it up exactly. It's like the water finds the path of least resistance. Water will climb up something if that is the path of least resistance. And I'm sure you've seen evidence of that somewhere before. And we are that. So we are the water in the world of what's truly possible. We are the wave that goes in and goes out. We are the water that pulls all of those manifestations to us via our visualizations, right? So now what could occur is a little tiny bit of uncomfortability in this space that your life's not actually working because you've created a jam-packed, busy space of, stuff happening and no room for a true relationship. So now what we're going to do is we're going to be an allowance of that uncomfortableness, and we're going to make a powerful choice. Whatever ideas float into our mind, like what could I do to create some time and space? So I get to make my schedule smaller. I get to put less things in there. I get to be conscious about the appointments that I'm making, conscious about the choices that I'm making, conscious about the things that I fill my time and space in every day, so that it's open now. So that when that magic moment arrives and I have someone to spend time with, I can and I will, and I'll have time in my day to do that. So that's a space of uncomfortability. When we're uncomfortable, and I'm going to sneeze, excuse me, the space of truth is when you sneeze, and thank you for the God bless yous. In this space, when we're creating, and that happens to me a lot in spaces of alignment, the sneeze is the energy blowing through the cells in alignment with what's truly possible and creating in that space. What if that uncomfortableness is your indicator? Magic word, indicator. Indicator that your life is coming to you on purpose because you decided so. Because you put into your reality the emotions that come with what it feels like to have a beautiful relationship or whatever it is you're imagining. And to create that, things get to be moved out of the way and rearranged and realigned so that you could actually have what you're after and experience it. And it is uncomfortable because some things will leave, right? Some appointments will get canceled. Things will get moved around. Stuff looks different. And when it looks different, you get to acknowledge that that is you creating what your life gets to look like, what you want in your life, what you would really, really love. And when you're looking at relationships, that's just one aspect, right? There's so many categories, so many things, and so many possibilities, but you get to get clear and clean and true. Get down to one thing, just one. Be deliberate and intentional in that space and be willing to walk through the uncomfortable transformational space that is your indicator that it's on its way. It's lining up. That is the space of it. It's not, oh my gosh, don't do this, it feels horrible. It's, oh my gosh, I'm getting excited. It feels horrible, yes, and I know why. Because I called it in, and that's what I want, and that's what I'm asking for. So that is my invitation to you, a really super fast masterclass on being a master visualizer. Come and find me at wendypaquette.com. Find me, send me a message, let's get your party started. It is truly possible to step into that space and master the art of visualization in order to have what you want. It is not hard. I will stand with you and we will create it exactly as you imagined it or better. I am so grateful that you are listening to this episode. I'm so excited to move further into the deepening spaces to what visualization creates, but this is just one aspect, and there will be more. So let's create together. I believe in you, and I believe in what's possible for you, and you're here now. So step in, play, be joyful on purpose with intention, and have the life that you've always wanted in creation mode every single moment. So, again, we're at the end of our show already. My invitation is to come find me. Let's play together. There's a lot of opportunities in there. I am so pleased to play with you in this space on the Crossroads to Awakening. It has been my pleasure to deliver those possibilities to you. There are many more to come. So in this big, beautiful wave of love and gratitude, I will see you on the next show. So much love coming your way. I can't wait to experience your visualizations and actualizations with you. We will see you soon. Mwah.
Thank you for choosing to listen to the Crossroads to Awakening radio show. Wendy Paquette will return next Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. 1 p.m. Central, 12 p.m. Mountain, and 11 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. We look forward to you joining us again. Until then, enjoy your journey, and we'll meet you at the crossroads.